Hey everyone, welcome into the premier series of the week. We have five. The number one that was most voted was Wingate Catawba. What a series in the South Atlantic Conference. We're excited for it. It'll be a great three-game series at Newman Park in Salisbury, North Carolina, home of Catawba. Be a big one. Two big teams, number one, number two in conference. Catawba 21-5, 13-2 in South Atlantic Conference play. Wingate 22-5, 12-3 in SAC play as well. Both teams won their midweek game. Catawba over a ranked UNC Pembroke, and Wingate over a ranked Francis Marion. So the just level of competition that both these teams face so far this week is incredible, and it's only going to get tougher from here. Two really good teams, and we'll get right into the, if I can, get right into some of the stats and story. So first, we'll start series history from 2010 to present. Wingate is 18-38 against Catawba. Catawba 38-18, and well, in Wingate's case, or I should say in Catawba's case, more positively, uh, Catawba has swept the last two series over the last 2 years. Wingate won a series in 2023, and they swept in 2022. Um, they split in 2021, or no, excuse me, they won a series again in 2021. 2022, they just played two games, but Wingate won both of those. And then 2019, they split, they only played twice, and then so on and so forth. But last time they matched up was a regular season matchup, April 12 and 13, and Catawba bested them. Wingate 4-0, 7-6, and 13-3. You can see there the average amount of runs that Wingate scores in these games is 5.23. Be a tough matchup. Again, on the road to 5-15 career against Catawba. Tough matchup, but both teams will be ready. We'll start with the road team, Wingate. So we'll start with their offense. 321 as a team at 960 OPS. They're 57-61 in stolen bases, 450 on base percentage, but it's led by Jalen Evans. Jalen Evans, 432 average, which is second in the South Atlantic Conference amongst teams that play in that conference at 432. He has 8 doubles, 3 home runs, 23 driven in, 18 walks, 15-17 stolen bases. Then you have Jake Kerrville, who is hitting 371. Bowen Powell hitting 364 with an OPS over 1,000. Tanner McCammon is the big bopper in the lineup, 352, OPS over 1,114, 10 doubles, 7 home runs, 31 driven in. Sean Sullivan, he is hitting 308 with a 1,088 OPS. He's the team leader in home runs with 8. The team leader in RBI is Bowen Powell, 41. Ben Karpowitz. Let's check out Ben Karpowitz the last time he's played. So he hasn't played in a couple weeks. Not sure if he's going to play this weekend, but he's another guy that if he does play, look out for him. 30 driven in, 7 home runs. He has an OPS of almost 1,180 for Wingate. So offense in a nutshell, that's what it looks like for these guys. Gavin Grapuso is a big catalyst towards the top of that lineup. 19-20 in stolen bases. Reed Benamati also 13-13 in stolen bases, so they'll have a couple guys that'll steal bases. Pitching wise, Chad Harvey, who was named a free season or a mid-season award watch for the Small College Baseball Player of the Year. That's the first year we're doing that, and that is a collection of D2 baseball, D3 baseball, NAIA ball, JUCO baseball, so on and so forth. So he's on there. He's pitched great so far this year. He is 6-0 with a 2.06 ERA, 41 strikeouts, 14 walks, 204 batting average against 39 and a third innings. Connor Longley also pretty well, 3-2 with a 3.49 ERA. He's thrown 38 2/3 innings, just 8 walks in that little amount of time. So great command of the zone. JD Little is that third starter on the weekend for Wingate. He has 7 starts, a 6.61 ERA, 3.14 batting average against over 31 and a third innings. And a couple guys you might see out of the bullpen, at least in terms of appearances. Carson Starnes has 9 appearances. Braxton Walker, Parker Jensen, 9 appearances. Jet Thomas, 8 appearances. Jackson Tony, 7. Cole Smith, 7. Guys who will have a lot of appearances. Their 2 big relief arms are Parker Jensen and Braxton Walker, as they both have multiple saves. So Parker Jensen, a 4.38 ERA. Braxton Walker, a 5.56 ERA. But on the flip side, Walker has a 2.55 batting average against, whereas Parker Jensen has a 2.94. Not much on the strikeout end, just 183 strikeouts in 227 innings. So for Wingate's case, they are expected for that team to play defense, and they do play defense with a team fielding percentage of .973, which is top 30 in the country in all of Division II baseball. So that is a breakdown of Wingate there, 22-5, 12-3 in sack play. We'll go over to Catawba, who batting is, remember when I said Evans was number 2? Well, number 1 is Randy Crabtree, 460 average. He's been unbelievable, 14 doubles. That also, I believe, leads the South Atlantic Conference. 710 slugging, and OPS over 1,200 as well. There's also a couple guys, Logan Dyer, Jake Dunlap, and Sam Hunter, both hitting above 350. Dunlap and Hunter both have an OPS over 1,000 and are key cogs to this team. But also another key cog is their base stealer in Malachi Cloud, 13-13 stolen bases. They're 48-59. And similar to Wingate, Catawba has a 317 team batting average and 919 OPS. So they're in roughly the same boat. Now, Catawba slugs a little bit more with that 500 slugging percentage and that 419 OBP, whereas Wingate has a 450 OBP and a 510 slugging. So it looks like that Wingate's a little bit more balanced in terms of getting on base and slugging, whereas Catawba hits for a little bit more extra bases in this series. So something to look out for there. And they've scored 202 runs and allowed just 97. So pretty good there with a run differential of plus 105. Wingate has 270, so they score many more runs. And then a allowed of 152, which puts them at plus 118. So Wingate wins the run differential. Now they give up more runs, but they also score much more runs. So we'll see what it'll look like against Catawba's pitching staff. Casey Gouge, who has 11 appearances, 6 starts, has a 2.48 ERA, 29 strikeouts, 2.61 batting average against Colt Wilkins. He's 4-1 with a 2.95 ERA. So that'll be a tough matchup for Wingate. But we'll see what happens there. Kemper Nix has a 4.08 ERA, 28.2 innings pitched. And then out of the bullpen, you see here, that's impressive. 8 saves through the halfway point of the season. That's I think that's number 1 in the country right now, Joe Burleson, with 12 appearances, 8 saves, a 1.04 ERA. You definitely expect that guy to throw once, if not twice, over the weekend with that type of performance that you've brought in. Calvin Douglas, another guy that'll throw a lot. South Sharp will basically be the fireman for Catawba here. So anytime in the middle innings, there's going to be running into trouble. Jim Gant, head coach for Catawba, will just say, hey, we're going to go to South Sharp to kind of bridge the gap to get to Joe Burleson. So that's another guy. Braden Major, is another guy that throws off, and Zachary Gatos, Parker Lakey. So you can kind of see Catawba's game plan here. You have your three starters in Gouge, Wilkins, and Nix, but then you also have your six bullpen arms that have 10-plus appearances in Burleson, Douglas, Seth Sharp, Parker Lakey, Braden Major, and Zach Gatos. And you can see here a 3.83 ERA, 250 batting average against, over 214 innings. They strike out much more, so 215 strikeouts compared to Wingate. And when we go back to Wingate, similar batting average, but Wingate relies more on their defense rather than Catawba has a little bit more guys to get strikeouts, but the difference in ERA is a 5.51 team ERA to a 3.83 ERA. And again, playing at Newman Park, that's more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark as well. But the one big opportunity for Catawba is their 987 fielding percentage. Now their pitching staff does strike out more guys, but when the ball is put in play, they take really good care of the baseball. They're number one in the country in Division II baseball in fielding percentage at 987. So don't expect to see a lot of mistakes and miscues here with Catawba. Because again, they are the home team, so we will go to that schedule of theirs and see that game 1 is 5 p.m. Eastern on March 20th, Friday. Game 2 is on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then game 3 of the series will follow after game 2, roughly 5 p.m. Eastern. Live stats, and then obviously watch on Flow College to be able to watch this series. Really good series to look forward to. 2 really good teams. We'll scroll through kind of Catawba season. Opened up in Florida, won their first 3 games, got walked off by Barry. And then they played Barton a midweek, won that. Started sack play with a sweep over Tusculum. Beat Belmont Abbey in 11 innings in a road midweek. Swept Mars Hill. Lost in a midweek to Mount Olive. Lost the first game to Lenore Run before beating them twice. Barton, they won again, 23-5 at home. Beat Carson Newman 2 out of 3. Lost that final game. Beat Francis Marion, swept UVA Wise, and then, of course, beating UNC Pembroke on that end. And then we'll go to Wingate schedule to kind of break it down, and then we'll sign off. And they also went to Florida. They lost by 1 run to Barry. They played Millersville at home, took 2-3 against a good Millersville team. Beat Mount Olive in a road midweek. That was a walk-off home run in a wild game. Lost 2-3 on the road at Lenore Rhine. Beat Finley in the midweek. Swept Coker. Shut out Belmont Abbey 11-0 in a midweek game. Swept Tusculum, including scoring 11-0 3 times by the exact score 3 times in 1 week. That's impressive. Beat Lander in a midweek 5-3. Swept UVA Wise. Beat Mount Olive in a midweek again, but this time at Mount Olive. Took 2-3 against Mars Hill. They dropped the final game of the series, and then beat Francis Marion, the most runs they scored the season, 21-9. And again, Wingate, they have 15 of their 22 wins. They have scored 10 or more runs. So that's going to be the kind of storyline there is, will Wingate's offense produce the way they've been all season at a ballpark that doesn't really allow for it, and a pitching staff that is really good in Catawba? So if the game's close and there's not a lot of runs scored, that's more in Catawba's favor. If there's more runs scored, I think Wingate has the edge there. So really fun to be able to break this down, and hope you enjoy this series starting Friday, March 20th, and then going into Saturday, March 21st. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the D2 baseball upcoming this weekend.